Assalamu alaikum guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'll be showing you how to configure DHCP on a router. So for this lab, we'll be using a router, another wireless router, a couple switches, and our lab will be on across 3 different networks. And we will also go through adding a printer at the end. So let's get into it. Let's come over here, and first we'll start by adding our end devices. So I'll choose a couple of PCs here. I like to start my PCs with PC1, and this one will be PC2, and the number coordination is 3. PC4, this would be our 2 LAN networks, wired networks. We'll add a couple of switches. So go to network devices, switches, 2960 would do. So we add that, we'll add a router. Let's use the 2911 router. And then make our connection. So PC1 to the switch, PC to switch, fast Ethernet port. And as we know from previous videos, gigabit port for switch to router, the first available. Then the same here, gigabit port from switch to router, the other one available. So here we have, and let's connect these PCs as well with the fast Ethernet port to the first available on the switch, then the second available on the switch. Once we have our connection like this, and we, as you can see, the ports on the router are still red. They need to be configured, but basically now I will be creating 2 different networks, one here and one here. So best practice, once you're doing labs, especially in the beginning for Cisco, practicing your Ccna, make notes of all your networks and IP addresses so you don't forget, especially once you're in the CLI. It's easy to move your CLI box to the side and see what you're configuring. So for this network, I'll be configuring it with the IP address base network of 192.168.1.0, and this side will be 192.168.2.0, or will be /24 IP address. And we might as well just add our wireless network now as well. So let's grab a wireless, we'll go to wireless devices, grab a wireless router, come here, and then we'll grab a laptop. Yeah. Then when we're connecting like devices, 2 devices that are the same, we use the copper crossover cable, not our normal straight through cable, copper cable. So the crossover cable from the gigabit port to the internet port of the wireless router. Once we have this, then this one would be the network here. We'll configure this network, and then from this port, this interface, it would be 192.168.3.0 base network for this network /24. Okay, so these are the 3 networks that we'll be configuring on our router. So these 3 ports, gigabit. So as we know from another video, you can always, especially when we're configuring, come here, go to preferences or options, allow show port label, so you can see the port labels. And you can see here, this port for this network will be gigs 0/0. This one will be 0/1, and for the wireless one will be 0/. So these are the 3 interfaces that we'll be configuring. So let's go ahead and start configuring. Okay, so when we're in the router CLI, you open up the router CLI. First thing you do is enable EN. Then you go to conf T, configuration terminal, configure terminal, and then interface. The first interface that we want to configure is this one, for this network. As we know, this is going to be the base IP. So the default gateway will be the next available IP address. It will be .1, so 192.168.1.1. So we come in here. So first to identify the interface 0/0. Once we're in the interface configuration mode, we will then set our IP address. So IP address 192.168.1.1. That will be our default gateway, and the subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. Once we do that, do a no shutdown. So you can see change state to up. So that gigabit 0/0 is up. And then we can do write to memory so it doesn't forget the thing, and configuration exit. Or next thing, the next interface that we want to go into will be G0 slash this one 1. So we're in it, then we'll go IP address 192.168. Which was our IP address, base network of 2/0. So that means the next available one will be 2.1. Add the basic subnet mask 255.0. Once we do that, then no shutdown, and do a write to memory exit. Then our final third network is on this interface. That will be int. You can do the up arrow to make it easier. 0/1, 0/2. Then it will be IP address 192.168. What did we say? 3.0. So the next available 3.1. Add the subnet mask. And now do a no shut to change the state to up. Oh, sorry, no shut. Then do write to memory. Let's see the configuration. Once we're done with that, now as you can see, if we come back, everything is green. All our ports are set up on the routers for each network. So this is 0, the first interface, second interface, and the third interface. So we're all up and ready. So now we can remove these labels because it looks a bit clunky, and when they're up, I like it a bit clear and less clutter. So now you can see all our interfaces are green and up. Next thing we're going to be doing is setting up the DHCP. So to set up our DHCP on this router as a DHCP server, first I want to label my network. So these 3 networks will be separated networks on the same router. So this first one, I'm going to name it LAN. The second one, name it, just say LAN 2. And the third one, we'll name it wireless. Okay, so now we have the names of our 3 networks that we wanna, these 2 wired networks and the wireless one. Go back into the router CLI. Stay in config mode is fine. And first, what we'll do is I want to exclude IP addresses first. So excluding IP addresses means the IP addresses that we don't want, a range of IP addresses that you want to save for, and things like printers, servers, and etc. So basically letting the DHCP server know not to use these IP addresses. So we'll go ahead and put these commands in so we can exclude our IP addresses. Then we'll set up the DHCP pool name and service. Okay, so before we configure our DHCP and set up exclude our DHCP, exclude the IP addresses we want for our static IP addresses for things such as printers and servers. What we want to do is do some more labels to make it easier for you when you're learning. As we know, these are the networks, so we can keep these here. And just to remember, this port, the IP address was what? .1. So we want to save the router's IP, the gateway. So from .1 exclude, sorry, .1 to .192.168.1.20. So all IP addresses from .1 to .20 will be not used by the DHCP and saved for our static IPs that we want to use for things such as printers and routers and stuff. So that's one. On this side, we can do the same thing. 192.168. We don't need, this is the wireless, we don't really need to do this side. We'll do this one, 192.168.2.1 to 192.168.2.20. So here we have, these are the ones that we want, the ranges. Go inside. Once we're in config mode, then IP DHCP excluded address 192.168.1.1 space 192.168.1.20. So this is basically, it will exclude from .1 to .20. All hosts between .1 and .20 will be reserved, excluded from the DHCP pool, and it won't be dished out to any end devices that are looking for IP addresses from the DHCP. So same for the other network, we'll do 192.2.1 and 192.168.2.20. Enter. So there you have it, we're in now. You can see there's no error message, that means it worked and we're good to go. So the next step, let us set up the actual DHCP. And this time we'll use the first name IP DHCP, as we'll name LAN, the first one. Sorry, pool LAN. Once we're in there, then we'll identify our network. It will be 192.168. Our base network is 1.0, and the subnet mask, always add 0. Then we'll use this command called default router, which is basically your default gateway. So identify your default gateway for this network. And that's done. Enter. So that is the setup for the DHCP for the first network. Then you can exit. In the second network, you can use the same, just the up arrow, LAN 2, enter, and identify the network 192.168.2.0 with this basic class C subnet mask, and then we'll identify the default gateway, so with the command default router 192.168.2.1, and just the IP. Once that's done, exit. Then the third network, that will be wireless name, and we'll give this network 192.168.3.0 and the IP address, the subnet mask, sorry, and default and the default router, which is 3.1. So that's all done now. Let's get back into here now. So now our DHCP, we've excluded these IP addresses for this one. So when we enable these PCs or these end devices to get an IP address using DHCP from the router, they won't be given any IP address between .1 to .20. So anything above that is fine. Between .20 to .254, it will be free for all devices that connect daily to the network. So let's have a go and look at this if our setup is correct. So you basically go into PC, go to config, sorry, desktop, IP configuration, then change from static to DHCP. You can see requesting and DHCP's request successful. So you can see it was given an IP address first available after our excluded IPs, which is .21. So let's do the same to this PC. .22 you got, and this one, take a guess, it would get .21, 2.21, as you can see there, and this one should get 2.22. Request an IP successful, 2.22. Okay, now we have our wired network set up. All our devices are getting IP addresses from the DHCP router. Everything's looking good. Now we need to set up our wireless connection here. So how do we set up a wireless connection, and how does our laptop here, our guest here, use the wireless connection on this? So firstly, we know the DHCP is set up for this network, but we need to enable this and set up as a wireless. So we'll go here, click into the wireless router. Once you're in, click GUI. Right, that didn't work. So come over here to wireless. Once you're over here to wireless, then the SSID, you change it. So I'll change it to something like my Wi-Fi. When we do that, remember, and while you're in the GUI, always come down and save before you move to another tab. Everything that you change, you save. So then you go to wireless security. For this home network and a basic office network, we can just use a WPA2 personal, but for big enterprises, you normally use enterprise. And passphrase, which is a password. So I'll name it, say for example, my Wi-Fi 123. So we come down here and save these settings. So we've given our Wi-Fi a password and a name. And what we need to do is go to our laptop. Click into your laptop. As you can see, this is a very old laptop. And if you zoom in, you can see that it doesn't have a wireless access. So what we need to do is turn this off, remove this module, which is the Ethernet. We're not using Ethernet port, and we'll add the wireless port, the wireless connectivity port. So as you can see, that small antenna, this old laptop, then switch it back on. So now this has wireless access. All we need to do is go into desktop, then PC wireless, click connect, refresh. Our network should come up here. Give it a second. You can see my Wi-Fi. Double click that. I know it's small, but it says my Wi-Fi. Then you say connect, and it will ask you for a password. So the password we'll put here would be the password that we made. So my Wi-Fi 123. Then click connect. Then come back over here to link information, and you can see you have successfully connected to the access point. So now our wireless router access point is connected, and you can see these lines now showing that there's access to the router now. So our person over here has access wirelessly and is segregated from these other networks. So here we have DHCP set up on a basic network with 2 wired connections and a wireless connection. So now what we will go ahead and do is add a printer. And what we're going to be using for our printer is one of our static IPs that we excluded, so they don't and so they're not given out by the DHCP server. So let's go ahead and add this printer. Okay, so the printer, you come over here, end devices. This printer's okay, do that. Then connections, and we'll use a copper straight through from the fast Ethernet port to the switch. The next available port is fine. The first thing we're going to do here now is go into the printer, configuration, give it our default gateway, which is the IP address of this network. The default router of this network is 192.168.1.1. You can leave the DNS for now and go to the IP configuration, and we can give an IP address of 192.168.1. So .1 is used for the router, obviously, so we can use .2 or you can use .3, .4, .5. So I'll use .10 for our printer, and the subnet mask is automatically populated. There you go. So now you have our printer with a static IP. So to test connectivity now, we'll go into here and go to ping. We'll go to command prompt, sorry. Then we'll do a couple tests. First of all, this is PC1, and you can see up here. Let's ping PC2. So what's PC2's IP address? Come back over here, 192.168.1.22. So come back into this, ping 192.168.1.22. Are we getting replies? Yes. Okay, so let's now try and ping the router and the printer. What did we give the IP address for the printer? Was 192.168.1.10, one of our static excluded IP addresses. And you can see we're getting a response now. So that means everything's working fine, and our printer's on the network, and our endpoint guys can print using their network printer. And the most important thing, the reason why we give our printer a static IP address is because it's a network printer and different users are using it. You don't want your printer having different IP addresses every day and things like that. So it's best practice is to have it as a network printer with a static IP address. So there you have it, guys. This is our basic DHCP configuration on a router, on a basic LAN 2-wide connections and a wireless connection. If there's anything that I missed out, or if there's anything that you'd like me to elaborate on and explain more that we went through, I'll do that. Please let me know in the comments. I'll do that in the next video. But for now, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll be making more videos and we'll be getting into more of the fun stuff. Thank you.